Good morning, Courtney.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Tadian?
Doing great. Happy New Year.
Thank you, and you too.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, I'm excited to be here with you today and kind of talk about the Lifehouse. I've been blessed to be a part of this journey for some time. And as I think about the Lifehouse, it seems like so much has happened in such a short period of time.
Yes.
Right? When you think about the life-changing work that you're doing, it seems it's everywhere, it's booming and growing, and what a blessing that is. But I imagine there's some people who still doesn't know the story of Lifehouse. Can you tell us the backstory of how Lifehouse was started and how did we get to where we are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tadian. I think the Lifehouse is the right name for what we're doing because it really is life-changing. We're seeing lives that are being transformed by having a place in our community for people to be able to come. And so the story of the Lifehouse is a beautiful blessing in our community. It's really a story of this community coming together, seeing a need, and seizing an opportunity. And so in December of 2020, the Lifehouse was birthed. Although, surprisingly, we only thought that the Lifehouse might be a 90-day warming shelter, just something simply to serve as a catalyst for our community to give thought to this need, and a growing need at that. And so we inquired of a maternity home that had a vacancy in a home on North Wilson Street. And upon asking them about the use of that home going forward, I had learned that the director and the woman being served in that maternity home had transitioned out in October. So I made an inquiry in November and just said, what are your plans for this home? I know that it's vacant currently, and what do you plan to do in the next, 90 days or so? And I remember just meeting with that board member and her telling me, we're going to take 90 days to pray about how God could use this home to bless our community. And I thought, man, that's so wonderful. Like, here's this organization that's really being thoughtful and intentional about how this space can be used in our community. And so then I thought, well, in the 90 days that you're praying, would you consider allowing us to use this home as a warming shelter for women this winter? And I just thought it would be wonderful if our community could just see in 90 days what could happen and the needs of women that could be met. Never could I have imagined all that has transpired in a little over 2 years. And so, not only was it a 90-day warming shelter, obviously, because it's still going on, but that board called me back 45 days into our use of this space and said, we've been praying, but we don't need 90 days. We know how God wants to use this home to bless this community. And we want to gift you with this house. That stirs a lot of emotion for me when I think about an organization in our community who have been prayerful and thoughtful about how a resource that they had could be stewarded for this community. And then they just gave it over. And they said, we see God doing a work, and we want to bless that work by offering this resource. And so obviously 45 days in, we realized that this was going to be something that was going to be more permanent for our community, not just a warming shelter. And so we needed to set up a board. We needed to set up a 501c3. We had to get the structure in place for the operation of this home to continue. And that's what we spent the next few weeks and months working towards. And when we knew that that was going to be permanent, there was a house across the street, literally just 25 feet apart from one another. And 15 days after that 45-day call, okay, so we're 60 days into this warming shelter, that house across the street had a sign that went up in front that said, for sale by owner. And I thought, oh, wow, Lord, this is amazing. What if we could double the number of women that we're serving literally across the street from one another? And I knew in my mind that that would help us from an operational standpoint, because you're not having to go to 2 different locations for security, but security could work between 2 homes, and case management and the things that we were trying to provide. And so, I sat, I prayed, and I waited because I didn't want to be too impulsive. But I just really had this sense that God had made a way for something. And I also wanted to be obedient just to follow his call. And so I remember driving. I was coming to the Galleria Mall, and I don't remember what I was coming for, but I was driving. And so this was about 14 days after the house had gone for sale by owner. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to call. I'm just going to call and see what the seller is thinking, what he wants to sell this for. I knew that the house was not completed. I knew it had been gutted. I knew it was in process of renovation, but I didn't know how far in the renovation process it was. So I didn't even know if it was a likely opportunity, but I knew it was something that needed to be at least called about. And so I'm driving to the Galleria Mall, And I thought I was going to get a voicemail, right? And so I was prepared to leave a voicemail, but the seller answered the call. And when he answered the call, I thought, oh, I got to pull in somewhere. And so this is where I pulled. I pulled right here. And I just sat for a minute and I said, tell me a little bit about this house that you're selling. His name is Marvin. And I said, Mr. Marvin, I know that you and I had talked a few months back. I know that you are from Charlotte and you were wanting to maybe flip this house, but I see that you have it listed. Tell me a little about what's going on and what are your thoughts and what are your plans for this home? And he said, I really just started thinking I might have some ideas of how this home could be used, but maybe somebody else in this community has a better idea for how this home could be used. And I just smiled because I started thinking man, this is how God is at work. He's bringing all these pieces together. And so as I sat right here on the phone, I heard Mr. Marvin tell me that he wanted to sell this house for $220,000, that he was looking for a cash offer, and that he wanted to close in 30 days. And I have to be honest, the odds were stacked against me. I was thinking, how is this possible? Because here we are just now really getting this operation going and knowing what we have in front of us. But I thought maybe it's just too good an opportunity to not pursue. And so I talked to him for a few more minutes and I said, could I come over and look at it? I'd like to bring a contractor just to see, what we're working with. And he said, absolutely. So next day I went over and I checked it out, and the contractor said, you have a really good house here. You have a really good structure. There's really good bones to this home, but it's gutted to its studs. And so you're going to have to work pretty hard to rebuild this home to make it what, you're wanting to use it for. And it comes with a price tag. And so I knew of some benevolent people in our community who I'd worked with before who just, their heart is set on helping to make this community significant. And I really believe that a couple of conversations with them and they might have an interest. And so again, I prayed and asked the Lord to direct me to some people that would, upon hearing of this vision, would have a heart for what we were doing. And I reached out and went and had a conversation with one couple in our community who has been very significant to making this happen. And I remember sitting there talking to them and I'm sharing about the Lifehouse, which obviously was only 60 days new at the time, and kind of casting a vision for what I think this could be for our community, and prayerful of how God could use these homes to make a difference. And so I'm kind of sharing this with them, and they said, there's no doubt that we want to be a part of what God is doing here. And that couple was instrumental in helping us be able to purchase this home. So them, along with a few others, in a short 5 days, now remember the asking price was $220,000, right? So in a few short days, we raised $320,000 because of people in this community who said yes. And so $320,000, I called Mr. Marvin back and I said, Mr. Marvin, I'd like to make a cash offer on the house. And I'm prepared to close in 30 days. There's been a lot of things about this story of the Lifehouse that's been transformative for me, but one of them has been how God is intricately involved in the details of our lives, and how God pursues the heart of his people, and how God is relentless in showing his love and his compassion for those he has created. And so the story of the Lifehouse is a story of God's provision by his people for his people. And I've got to be a part of seeing how all of those pieces fit together. Now that was March of 2021, and we're almost, not quite, to March of 2023. So this has been 2 years in the works to taking this home that was gutted to its studs and in need of, obviously additional upfits, to a place of being able to be ready to house women. And so that's involved, city zoning and city planning, and then of course the design work that goes into making sure everything is accounted for. And then there's the construction. And so I am so happy to share with you today that we are literally less than 10 days from opening this home in our community, that women may be able to sleep safely and securely, that women may be able to have warm meals, that they're able to have access to laundry and shower services, that they're able to have support and fellowship and encouragement. And then there's case management to encourage them on their path. So this just allows us to expand the services that we're already offering to 12 to 16 more women and children in our community.
I just wanted to say how proud we are at J.M. Coat to be a part of this project here at the Lifehouse. This has been a service that's been so needed in our community for a long time. and really just helps us live out our motto of building leaders who build communities. So for my superintendent, Daryl Totherode, and my project manager over here, Amy Fusaro, we've just been so proud at what we've been able to do here, and so excited about the future and all the lives that it's going to touch.
I've traveled to lots of big cities, and the homeless population is very visible in those places. Here in Rock Hill, I can't say that you would see the homeless population. I started working with the Lifehouse in 2021. I was with a church, and we were delivering Thanksgiving meals to the homeless population, and actually we were expecting them to come to the church, but they did not. So we opened the doors and there was no one there. So the idea was we'll have to take the meals. So when we reached the Lifehouse, the first thing I noticed was that one of my former students was there. And so I say that the homeless population in our community is largely invisible to the general public who lives here, but the homeless population is not invisible to God.
Lifehouse is important to Rock Hill because it addresses the need of women and families experiencing homelessness. And also, a good measure of a community is how we take care of those who are less fortunate. And Lifehouse is a good example of an organization that does just that.
Our family in Williams and Fudge is very excited to be able to support the Women's Lifehouse. It's located right here in our own backyard, and it's always been a passion for us to support our community. This is an excellent organization that strives to give women safety, give them dignity, and give them love. These houses do just that. It's such a beautiful and wonderful place for a woman to come to be able to get their life back together to where they can go out and be a member of the community in the way that they feel they want to be.
Speaking of a lot to celebrate, right? We're at this phase of the Lifehouse where we're about to open the new home.
That's right.
Right?
We're going to turn the key to the
Turn
new home.
Turn
That's
the
right.
key to the new home. And as you're doing that for other women, this space allows you to do that for even more women in
That's
our
right.
community. So I went through my old files and I put up this video. As you stated, this work began in December of 2020. And I spent some time with you early January of 2021.
Okay, yeah.
And I recorded a video
Okay.
and I saved it for this very moment.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I want to show you that video
Mhm.
and then just tell me how that makes you feel in this moment to see where we are today, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Courtney, where are we now? What's today?
Okay, today is January the 3rd,
Uh-huh.
and it's the start of a new year.
Yep.
We're outside of the Lifehouse. It's
Yeah.
a women's shelter at the
Mhm.
Lifehouse. It's now, right now, for a 90-day warming period in the coldest months of the winter, but we have hopes and plans that this is a
Yeah.
bigger endeavor and a longer endeavor than
Mhm.
90 days. And then right across the street is this home that has recently been purchased, and I had the opportunity to meet the owners of this home. They came over and introduced themselves. They thought I was moving into the Lifehouse,
Mm-hmm.
but as it turns out, I was helping to move other women into the Lifehouse for Christmas. And so as I was talking to them, they said, we just recently purchased this home. We're not exactly sure what we're going to be doing with this home. But in my head, I thought, oh, but maybe God does. So I have a feeling that this might be an opportunity for a much bigger initiative and a much bigger endeavor across the street, caring for women in need in our community.
Wow. It's pretty amazing. It has become a much bigger opportunity than we could have ever imagined in January of 2021.
Here we are, January 2023,
Yeah,
and you're turning the key
yeah,
to the new home.
yes.
So, Courtney, I speak on behalf of this entire community,
Uh,
on behalf of the women and the children
mm,
that you serve,
Mm.
that the work that you're doing, the work that your staff and your board and amazing volunteers and donors are contributing to
Mm.
is changing the very face
Yeah.
of this community. So we thank you for your
Thank you.
service, your work, your vision,
Thank you.
your stewardship
Mm.
of the assignment that God has trusted you all with.
Oh, thank you.
So we're excited for this journey and to watch what
Yeah.
happens at this next phase and
Yes.
the next phase.
I know.
And the
I
next
know.
phase of what it means to be a willing vessel and servant.
Yeah.
So thank you, Courtney.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's exciting.
It's huge. It's very huge, but it feels like home.
2 years and 2 months ago that the Lighthouse opened, and I was the first client.
The first time you walked in, what was your reaction seeing this home?
That they put their heart and soul into this, more like a bed and breakfast than a shelter. I mean, and that's the same feeling that I had the first night I walked in across the street after having been in other shelters. The first night I walked across the street, I thought I was in a bed and breakfast because people were there being kind to you, serving you, taking care of you in a way that most shelters, I mean, shelters do a good job, but this was the next level, and now this is the next level after that.
I think it's a blessing for Courtney and Kristen to do this. They have so much love and Christian in them, and God bless them because they really care about this community to have something like this. And God bless them, and I thank them so much.